Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to High Top Game Day. We only got a few more of these things left, so we got to make sure that we hold them tight, love them, cherish them, appreciate them, and have a good time with them. So get your coffee, sit down, get some breakfast, relax. We're having a fantastic hour for you guys in store. Got some incredible guests on. It's going to be a great time. It's a great day for some college football. A lot of great matchups. Obviously, LSU versus Alabama. A top 25 matchup. It's going to be massive. You got Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State. Which Oklahoma is going to be the best one today? I think I've got a pretty good feeling about that. Then Florida Gators versus the Arkansas Razorbacks. Florida Gators have a lot on the line today. Possibility to clinch a bowl game. And also Sam Pittman could be on the ropes. And then, of course, we'll wrap it up with around the table talk, around the high top table talk. I still can't get it right. We're not 10 weeks in. I still can't get it out my mouth correctly. But let's go ahead and say hey to the gentleman here. We've got Cody, the professor, rocking the producer channels this afternoon. Good morning, Cody. I don't think he slept more than 30 minutes today. And then we got Jason, your Oklahoma State fan. And then
that's rough.
Oh, he didn't.
That's rough.
And then my man Ty, a.k.a. Blaze Hayes, representing Alabama. Good morning, gentlemen. How are we doing this morning, Ty?
Man, I'm so excited. What is this? I'm so excited, man. This is a game that, I mean, everybody knows Tennessee, Auburn, those are rivalry games. I contend that Alabama, LSU is a new age rivalry that if I'm the SEC and Sankey, I'm pushing, right? Like, I just think it's such a quality game. You see so much talent in this game, and I've been looking forward to this one all year.
Ty coming off a little bit of a cold, but still sharp as attack early in the morning. I love it. Jason, how are you feeling about today, big guy? I think I should get some love. I didn't even text you after your pathetic loss last week.
But you did though. You kind of sent me a weird.
That wasn't for you. That wasn't for you.
Wherever it was intended to go, it came to me, and I took it how I took it. So it is what it is. No,
that was well after the fact.
The thing is, I feel pretty good though. It's it's Okie Light, man. They've won out of 118 games. They've won 19 of them. So they're not due to win for at least another 4 or 5 years.
6 in a row, though. 6 in a row. That's all I got to say. We'll be back with all of you guys here shortly. I appreciate you guys always hopping on. But ladies and gentlemen, let's have a great freaking morning here. It's High Top Game Day, best game day show on the net. Be sure to smash the like button, subscribe if you guys are brand spanking new. Without further ado, let's go ahead and take it back to Mr. Ty Hayes for Sweet Alla. We didn't even add the clips, Cody. You didn't add the graphics. Sweet home Alabama there with Mr. Ty Hayes. That's the wrong Cody. Ty, how we doing, big guy? Cody's dropping the ball. I don't know what's going on with all codes there. Hopefully he can add the graphics while we're here waiting. But here we go.
Let's go get that mule's leg he had last week.
He needs something. He was bragging about all the Red Bulls he had. Clearly he's Red Bull short. Alabama coming off a bye against LSU. And like you just said just a moment ago, this is the new age rivalry. I agree. I feel like the Auburn thing gets pumped each year, right? They try to hype it up as the Iron Bowl, but Auburn hasn't really been relevant since Cam Newton. Now, they still have upsetted you from time to time, but I feel like it doesn't really have the same pizzazz as Bama LSU. I mean, I still remember the year that you guys played, obviously, against each other, then played each other in the championship game. It was like 3-4 was the final score of that game.
6-9 in the regular season game, just field goals, and then you get to the national championship, and it was a totally different game. Wild year, yeah.
Good time. That's how I always remember this rivalry. It's a great one. And look, what makes this one special is it's going to be who kind of controls the West here. Now, I think Ole Miss is going to be a big Bama fan today, which is ironic because right now, if Bama were to fall to LSU, they would take the lead. Now, Ole Miss still has to roll through Athens and play Georgia, so we'll see how that bodes for them. But right now, I mean, LSU controls a lot of their destiny. Now, LSU, honestly, they don't really have much control because even they beat you, again, they lost to Ole Miss. So Bama still kind of controls their destiny. Look, I think the 3-point spread is a disrespect to Alabama. I know LSU has played well. It's in Alabama. They're going to be pissed from losing by 1 point last year to LSU. This is just like Tennessee. I think we're going to see the same thing we saw in Tennessee. How are you feeling about it?
Listen, I agree. Jake has said this multiple times, and I truly agree. I think LSU might have the best offense in the nation. And even if you disagree with that premise, at least I think we could agree they're a top 10 offense, right? Like, no questions asked. This is an elite unit. Jaden Daniels has been sensational. I mean, there's no other way to put it. And one of the things earlier on in the year, I'd come on to this show and you and I would talk about LSU, and I'd keep saying, hey, I just need to see a running game emerge, like something to take that pressure off of Jaden Daniels. Well, it's there now. It might not look like your traditional Leonard Fournette power run sets, but it's complementary to the offense they have. So in that mindset, it absolutely works. Here's the thing, though, man. This is not your grandmother's LSU defense. I mean, far from it. They rank 88th at best in most categories in the nation, right? And when you look at this LSU defense, unfortunately for some of these players, Wingo, one of their best defensive linemen, he's shut down for the season now. Hopefully that injury heals up quickly. Whether he decides to test the draft, an NFL team will be getting a phenomenal player, or he comes back next year and college football will be in for a treat. That's a name you need to be keeping up with. But then you also look at the secondary for LSU, and it's a secondary that's been so depleted since day dot this year. And now you have injuries where some of their best players in the secondary have faced awful injuries, awful circumstances health-wise. And if I'm not mistaken, I thought I saw a report that stated Sage Ryan, their starting safety, is actually going to be playing corner. Or at least they were floating the idea, just to kind of give you an understanding of how depleted that secondary is. Now, credit where it's due. Sage Ryan's an incredible football player, right? Like, he does have that versatility. So maybe it's a little bit different for LSU because of a Sage Ryan, but just paints the picture of how depleted they are. I like Alabama's chances in this game, man, because at the end of the day, there's something about this Alabama team that is vastly different than last year's Alabama team. And that's the inside linebacker. The inside linebacker for Alabama, they have been sensational, whether we're talking Tresman Marshall, whether we're talking Blackshire. But the two names I want everybody to focus on is 30 and 32, Jahad Campbell and Deontay Lawson. I think Deontay Lawson could be on a list for Butkus Award winners. He's been that good. Now, certainly there are other names that will be trying to take that away from him. But Jahad Campbell came to Alabama as an edge, a 5-star edge, in his transition to inside linebacker. Bama didn't have that athleticism at inside linebacker last year. No disrespect to Jalen Moody or Henry To'oTo'o, the way they have it this year. I think that's going to be a major catalyst. And on the offensive side, LSU has had a real tough time stopping the run. I know Ole Miss ran for like 330 yards on them. They haven't faced a quarterback like Jalen Milroe in terms of athletic ability. They haven't faced a guy like that has that type of get out and go. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I think LSU, I mean, they are ranked number 1 offensively. I double checked to confirm what we were discussing here. And and look, I think the one caveat here, Bama, you may be the number 1 offense for everyone else, but Bama sees that, and Bama's going to throw everything they've got at you to slow down that offense. I think the one problem with LSU is they can't stop anybody. I mean, Mizzou scored all over them. Ole Miss scored all over them. I mean, both those games came down to who had the ball last, essentially. Right. So that's kind of been LSU's problem this entire year. Even the FSU game early on, they looked like the better football team in the first half. I stated that. And then all of a sudden just forgot how to play football come the second half and got shut down completely. So Mike Norvell figured something out. If I had to guess, Saban will go take a look at that film and see what FSU's did. And FSU's defense, I believe, is nowhere near what Bama's defense is either. So their cornerback play has been sus this entire year, and they were able to shut things down. Their defensive line, a whole other level for speaking of FSU. But I like Alabama. Like I said, I think a -3, and it is at Alabama. So that's kind of just your typical nod of if it is a home game, you get 3 points. So they're saying it's a pick'em game if it was in a neutral site. That's how I look at this game, which I don't know. I get it. I know why. I understand it. I think 7 is a more reasonable pick. I like the smash and the 3 here for Alabama all day. I mean, take Bama money line, to be honest with you. I like them 100%. I said this a few weeks ago. I can't remember which game that it was that they pulled away. The Tennessee game was a big win, in my opinion. I think it was a few weeks before, a couple games
Probably
before that.
Ole
Miss. I think
they held Ole Miss to 10 points. Yeah.
Yeah, Ole Miss, and then on top of that, obviously Tennessee. But that kind of just confirmed my gut feeling of, hey, these guys are back, right? Where they just look like Bama of old, where it's not all just heavily relying on quarterback play. It's starting to just function again. If you think about it, look, Alabama put some studs into the NFL. Okay, so just before I make this comment here, understand what I'm saying. They put studs into the NFL, but it's rare that you have, just kind of your star-like guy that you're like, man, that guy's really good. Like, for example, when that LSU team, you had Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, and then it was kind of everybody else. You had Tyree Matthew, things like that. Big-time studs. Bama just has a lot of guys, right? That's kind of always been their thing. Now, their quarterbacks over the last few years, Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts, Tua, we had our eyes on them. Bryce Young, of course, our eyes were constantly on them. But in my opinion, years prior, you had like the likes of Julio Jones, Devontae Smith, and you heard about them, right? But it was just because the team was so good, they didn't outshine everybody. And I feel like that's kind of where this Bama is back into play. It's like we don't know who the guy is. It's just a team full of 5-star studs, which it always is. And that to me scares me if you're going up against Bama.
Yeah, I think Devontae Smith is probably one that you could put in superstar status just because winning a Heisman as a wide receiver.
Sure.
That's 250 yards and a half against that Ohio State defense. Broke his finger to start the third quarter, didn't get to play, which really upset me. I was really hoping we'd get him close to 500 yards in that game. But here's one thing I will say, man. You talk about that FSU game. FSU had 4.5 sacks, I believe. And Jared Verse is one of the best edges in the nation. But here's to your point. They haven't faced a defense like Alabama. Alabama doesn't have one Jared Verse. They have a ton of them. Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell are both posting win rates on pass rush sets close to 25%. They're in the top 5 of all of edges in college football. Then you look at the outside, you have Terry and Arnold, Kool-Aid McKinstry. That might be 2 first-round cornerbacks right there going up against 2 first-round wide receivers. So we are in for an absolute treat from a talent perspective matchup today. That's why I'm so excited to watch this game.
No, look, it's going to be exciting to watch the 3:30 kickoff in Alabama. I think it's going to be a bloodbath for LSU. This is going to be the beginning to the end. And again, Brian Kelly is going to be asking for a prayer after this game, in my opinion. So it should be a fun one. And I think, again, it's going to tell you who's going to be representing the West. I've been kind of picking Bama, Georgia since I saw Bama do what they do. I don't know if I've seen enough from Bama to believe. I know I'm getting ahead of myself here. I know Bama still has a long way to go with 3 more games after this. Look, we were just talking about Auburn rivalry, right? It may not be as competitive as they try to make it feel, but it's still a game that you have to get by. Same thing with Florida State. Florida State, obviously, top 4 team in the country. I feel pretty damn good about Florida State coming into the swamp.
It's in Jordan-Hare this year. So
yeah.
that's not an easy. Bama at Jordan-Hare. They've gotten Bama several times at Jordan-Hare. So you definitely got to go take that one.
Yeah. And so look, that's possibility, but I want to see if Bama looks how Bama looks today to see if I can okay, yes, they're ready for Georgia. I feel like even though Georgia take a step back with obviously the quarterback play, I believe Carson Beck, and I think he's showing that week in and week out, is way better than Stetson Bennett. The one thing we don't know yet is Stetson Bennett had, just balls of steel. He had coconuts down there because no matter where his back was, he still was able to prevail. Now,
that's what happens when you're 65 years old.
I'm not saying there's like why, but I'm just letting you know, like that was his thing, right?
True,
True. That's what made him great, was his ability to not get flustered. Well, Ty, pleasure as always, my friend. We'll have you back on here shortly. Don't go anywhere, and then we'll get you around for high top table talk.
Sounds good.
Around the board. Sweet Home Alabama. I love that. If you guys can tell me where that's from, what movie that's from, Cody will send you guys a gift card. Boys and girls, great matchup there at 3:30. Again, a lot of great games. The next game we're going to talk about is going to be a massive matchup with Oklahoma State. A little rivalry there. And look, Oklahoma State, like we heard Jason in the beginning of the show, has been the major little brother for the last 100 years or so. But right now, Oklahoma State's on a little bit of a burner. Oklahoma getting punched in the mouth last week against Kansas. My bet's still alive with Jason, which was who would win more games, USC or Oklahoma. I don't feel good about the bet. I almost paid him last week, and then Oklahoma lost, and I go, there's a chance. We may push. I may get this back. I still don't feel very confident. Oklahoma doesn't play anybody playing in the Big 12, and the USC has a hell of a schedule, a daunting schedule left as they play Washington, and they still have Oregon left to play, and a few more daunting tasks. But let's go ahead and let's get into the Oklahoma versus the best Oklahoma team in the state, Oklahoma State, with Jason there.
You always got some shit to say, man. Always. Yeah. Listen, they're gonna win today. Don't worry.
I wish I would have had you on for the Kansas game. Look, we had a lot of guys. My buddy Muddy, he's always on the show. He's high on Kansas. I think he was high on Kansas taking down Texas. That was a good. Kansas is a good football team. They kind of get overlooked. They've got a hell of a defense. And playing in Kansas is never fun. Dylan Gabriel did not look great.
They got a hell of an offense, but It was
They
bad.
kept you guys at 33 points.
30.
No, so in the Big 12, Kansas has a good defense. All right, let's just put it that way. They've got a defense in Big 12 considerations. But look, playing in Kansas isn't tough. And now you're playing at Oklahoma State today, correct?
Oklahoma State today. So yeah,
You're playing in Oklahoma State, right?
Yeah.
Playing at the Pokes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So look, I think 6 points, if this game would have played, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, we're looking at a 14-point, maybe 20-point spread. You agree or disagree?
It probably would be it'd be a bigger spread for sure if it was in Norman, right? But I do think that, honestly, I think that the spread is probably about where it should be, considering the way that Ollie Gordon's been playing the last 4 weeks, since Mike Gundy came out of his semi-retirement deal. Look, I think that overall Oklahoma, they got kind of slapped a little bit last week, and it's probably a pretty good wake-up call. The one thing you don't want to do is go and have this Bedlam rivalry ends after this game, and at least for the foreseeable future, you do not want them to have that bragging rights over you for the next 10, 12, 15 years, however long it is until they play. Yeah,
I didn't even realize that. That is huge. Yeah. This one's a big one then.
It's a big one. But and the thing is you got to make sure that you make them beat you with Alan Bowman instead of with Holly Gordon. I think it's going to be pretty straightforward how they're going to play it. They're going to come right at you. Their defense is not quite as good. They're good against the run. I think that they have, a solid secondary. They've got good linebackers. The main thing that you want to do if you're Oklahoma, you're going to have to probably beat them on the edges, and you need to test that secondary because early on they're going to probably play a lot of cover zero, man on man. If I'm OU, I'm getting this speed out on the edges and running a lot of deep routes to get them out of the box. And if they don't get out of the box, then you're going to hit them deep and score early. The one thing they don't do very well, and this is why they lost 2 games in a row, one of them 27-point loss to South Alabama at home, was because they got behind and ended up having to kind of play catch up by trying to throw the ball around. I think the main thing that you want to do if you're Oklahoma is get them behind early so that they have to throw. If you let Ollie Gordon get going, he's a stud, man. No doubt about it.
So throw them off their game plan then, right? I mean, kind of how look, Florida Gator football, that's something they're big about, is being in their rhythm. And if you throw them off the rhythm, they've struggled. They've shown that for 3 losses this year when being thrown out of their rhythm. So that's going to be a big one. Again, at home, that's going to be huge for Oklahoma State. I did not realize that it's because, like you said, they're going out of conference. Now, I would hope these 2 teams work it out to where it could be their out of conference game that's scheduled kind of like Florida State every year.
Yeah, the thing is that Mike Gundy's made it really clear that he doesn't want to play the game. He don't want to play. He was 3-15 all time against Oklahoma as a coach. 1-7 when the game has something on the line, like getting to a conference championship game, something like that. This is not a game that he wants to continue playing.
So this game does have even more too, because there is a conference championship on the line, right?
There is. They both have 1 loss, so you have 5 one-loss teams in the conference as of right now. Kansas State playing Texas today as well, so that's going to have big implications there. I think a lot of people just automatically assumed that Oklahoma and Texas were going to meet for the conference championship once they, played that epic Red River game. It hadn't really been that way. So it's, a lot of these other teams haven't just, fallen by the wayside like you would have expected. At that point, Oklahoma State was coming off of 2 straight losses. So, it was kind of one of them deals where and then K-State ended up losing to them. To Oklahoma State. Kansas ended up losing to them. Now, they had both of them at home, but that's their only losses. That's the only loss for Kansas State. So they're going to be on the road. Texas has, I think they've beaten them 6 times in a row or something like that. So chances are you can still get a win there, but I don't think you can really afford to get a loss right now at this point. I think you need to win at least 3 out of the last 4 games, probably to secure a spot in the championship game.
Iowa State is 5-3, but they have 1 loss in the conference.
And they're the real deal. They beat Oklahoma State earlier. They put up some numbers against Oklahoma early on in the game, and then Oklahoma kind of turned it on at the end and ended up beating them by 30. But to be honest with you, I think that they have a young quarterback that looks like he might not be too bad. And the thing about Matt Campbell is that he puts defenses out there that are going to slow people down. And, I think that he's been a pain in Texas' butt. They got to go to Ames to play them. It'll be cold. It'll probably be nighttime. Might be a tough one for them on that one too. So I think that both teams, Oklahoma and Texas, they don't have an easy road left to get there. I think that again, it's one of those things you really have to get out there and kind of stick it to them early. I think if you allow this Oklahoma State team to stay in the game, you're going to get the crowd into it. You're going to get them, more confidence. I think one of the things that Oklahoma always has over Oklahoma State is that big brother mentality. We're going to push you and bully you around and stuff like that. If you allow them to stay in the game, then, they're going to get some confidence about them. And as I said, Ollie Gordon is that dude, man. He is that dude. He's been very, very good.
So I'm looking at it. So you got Oklahoma State, Iowa State, and Texas, and then Kansas State. But Texas and Kansas State, they're going to settle that today. And then Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, you guys are going to settle that today. So right now it has Oklahoma and Oklahoma State 1-2 in the conference. Oklahoma being on a little 6-game win streak. Just looking 4-game win streak. Okay, Paul, sorry. It feels like 7-8. I don't know. They just look just fantastic over there. My pokes look really good. So I get confused at times. But look, you're 100% right. I mean, Texas and Oklahoma, I felt this was going to be an automatic matchup. How do you feel about Oklahoma being behind Texas in the playoff rankings after beating Texas?
It's early in the year. I think it's kind of stupid because of their logic behind a lot of it or whatever. Whenever you heard them talking about it the other night, I think it's kind of dumb. In the end, I think it all plays itself out. You've had I think most Oklahoma fans aren't really worrying too much about it because of the fact that you've had people saying the same thing even since right after the Red River game, that they'd still be – Josh Pate was saying they would still be favored on a neutral field. They just beat them on a neutral field. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But I think that a lot of the people around the country favor Texas easily. I mean, I think it's just one of those things. So you're going to play it out on the field. Chances are you get a chance to play it out on the field. If they can get back there and Oklahoma can figure it out, I think that as much as you hate to lose, sometimes you need a little bit of a wake-up call in the season, and you get out there and start off undefeated. Now, they shouldn't have – the wake-up call should have been UCF playing as close to them as they did, but it wasn't. So, you get a L. You really have to kind of put it together. I think that play calling-wise, you need to see Jeff Lebby do a little bit better job than he did a week ago. A lot of, in that game, when you had it working up the middle – and he's going to the jet sweep and doing some stuff like that, not targeting your best receiver in Nick Anderson, who has I think he has almost as many touchdowns as he has catches in the season. So it's, the guy's up around 10 touchdowns already. So it's one of those things that you kind of really have to get out there and make it and get after it now. I mean, there's no more breathing room. If you have any kind of hopes of the playoff or even the conference championship, you got to win. So
you got to be dominant. I mean, right now the 4 teams in front of you. Now Michigan and Ohio State, they play each other, so you got to think they're going to take each other out. But you've got Washington that's ahead of you; they're undefeated.
Absolutely.
Obviously, FSU, they play a cupcake schedule for the most part. So, I mean, that Florida game, in my opinion, is the only thing really keeping FSU out of the playoffs, possibly the ACC championship if they go up against Louisville. But I mean, FSU looks like they got a pretty straight line. So. Right now, Oklahoma, the Big 12 has now taken their control.
I think they would need some help for sure.
The Big 12 conference as a whole.
I kind of felt like the main thing that you had to do if you were Oklahoma was win out anyway. You probably needed to be undefeated to be guaranteed. But there's a lot of things that'll kind of conspire to get in the way. You've got Alabama in front of them. Texas is in front of them. If Texas either loses a game headed to the Big 12 championship game or you beat them in the championship game, that's another big win. Over a top 25 or a top 10 team, even for that matter. So it could work itself out. But again, I'm not even thinking about that at this point. I'm looking at you got to win every week. And
when you're a loser and you lose a big game, I get that.
Wait, Florida is.
Hey, this is the Oklahoma segment, okay?
What are we talking about here?
This is the Oklahoma segment. Keep it in between the lines here. I'm just saying. Look, I think the Big 12. I do want to ask you if it's down to a one-loss Pac-12 team, Pac-12 champion, versus and there's one spot left, and a one-loss Big 12 champion. Who gets it?
I would probably figure that the Pac-12 team probably does. Depends on who it is, I think, but
Sure. If it's Texas, it's going to be tough just because of their brand.
Texas probably, but even Oklahoma, I mean, they've been in the playoff a bunch too. They've won 6 conference championships in a row since the last time Texas won one.
Not many championships though. But yeah. No, I agree. I think
Oklahoma has more national championships too. Yes.
The
more
Pac-12
and more conference championships and everything. So yeah. Don't start with this.
the Pac-12, though, I mean, they've looked. I mean, they look the strongest. And like you said, I think it's definitely going to be depending on.
Yeah, I think that Oregon is myself. I think Oregon's the best team in the conference right now. I know they lost on the road at Washington. I think Dan Lanning kind of made a couple of mistakes. He should have taken the points at some point there.
Agreed.
In the end, that'll work itself out too.
Agreed. Well, Jason, pleasure as always. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have you back on here in just a moment. Hopefully Oklahoma continues their streak of losing. Go Pokes, go Horns. And I'll see you here in just a moment here. Man, oh man, oh man. It is fun to have Jason on and poke him a little bit, poke the bear a little bit about Oklahoma. It's always a blast. He takes it like a champ, though. So I appreciate him. He's always a blast to rile up. Look, he knows my love for Texas, and I actually have a little bit of a soft spot for Oklahoma State because Cowboys and Ricky Fowler, my favorite golfer, was a Poke. So I like the orange. I'm an orange guy. So it's something about it. Well, boys and girls, a special treat for you guys all today. I'm stepping out behind the desk. I'm clocking myself in. I'm checking in. And I'm going to be representing the Florida Gators today. Cody's going to poke me around a little bit with some questions. And then I'm also going to be participating in around the talk, table talk with the boys. So I'm taking the gloves off, getting dirty. But let's talk Florida Gator football before we get into any of that, boys and girls. Cody?
What's up, bud?
How are you, sir?
Not enough and a lot. I like that.
You like
pretty
that,
good,
right?
man. Yeah, I got the vintage high top sweatshirt on, hoodie on. So I don't know if you can even get these things.
They're still up.
Are they?
For now, yeah. Well, look, man, I'm passing the buck to you. You're gonna play host. I'm gonna play. I don't know what we would call the non-host. I guess just the
non-host. All right.
Yeah.
So after last week, obviously a devastating loss, and for everything to go wrong so early in that game, what are you looking for Florida to do right off the rip, first quarter, against this Arkansas defense?
Look, I think how they started the Georgia game was perfect. They went down there, they controlled the ball, they scored, they did exactly what we wanted them to do. They looked, they looked flawlessly. They got a big stop. With the field goal. That was a massive stop. And then they just they got flat-footed, right? So it's how do we string some things together and not get behind the 8 ball too quickly and not have any drastic errors. If you go back and look at the losses this year from Utah to Kentucky to Georgia, it's 2 massive plays, 2 to 3 just massive blunders that all of a sudden it's not even like the other team had to do anything spectacular. It's just big plays. I mean, Utah comes out, punches in the mouth with an 80-yard bomb. Okay, that was a little bit of a daze, no big deal. But then we have a fourth stop stand. We stop them, and then we have 2 threes on the football field, like just dumb stuff, right? That's Utah. Kentucky, they just ran the ball any which way they wanted to at their will. So I don't know what happened there. And then Georgia, you have the go for it on 4th down, you get stopped, and then you have to fumble in your own territory and a block punt. Those are your 3 possessions in a row. And look, if you take those out of it, the game's close. I mean, the game was 7-6 or 10-7 going into the second quarter, and then it was 26-7 in the first 4 minutes of the game. And for the rest of the second quarter, nobody scored or did anything. So it was all within a matter of moments. The game just got away from us. That can't happen today, not at all. Now, I think, thankfully, look, this is a little bit of a shot towards Arkansas. I just haven't really seen them really take the lid off anything. So if they take the lid off today against us, there's going to be. I mean, Gator fans are pissed off now. It's going to be all hell breaks loose if that happens.
Yeah, definitely. And the worst thing is what we have right in front of us. Sam Pittman is on his last leg. He needs a win so bad that to possibly save his his coaching career over at Arkansas. They're looking to get rid of him. With a staple win at the Swamp, I think that would bring a little heat off of him. Do you think he's going to throw everything at the Gators today? Every play that he has, trick plays, going a deep shot like Utah did early on the first drive if they get the ball. Is that what you're expecting to see from this Arkansas offense and defense?
Yeah, it's got to be interesting to see where his mindset's at. If he's willing to grind it out to really, like, because he has to know that this game is going to be what puts the the writing on the wall. If you're able to get a W here, all right, we're going to give you some more time. But how much more time is it really going to be? So where's his mindset at? Does he have that killer mindset of like, okay, my back's against the wall, we've got to do something here, or is he going to crumble? I don't know. But look, to be fair, and I kind of said this on our Wednesday show, that is a scary place, a scary person to go up against, somebody whose back's up against the wall. But in a weird way, Billy's is too. Not to the same level as Sam Pittman, but the feeling of, look, you came off a bad loss. You haven't lost at home. That's the one positive you've been riding on all year long. There's a lot riding on this game. We got some big time recruits. So I feel like both coaches in a way are in the same boat. Some may a little bit be closer to the fire than others, but both are riding a lot on this game. And I like where just the team has been headed. I like where the guys are bought in. They just fired their offensive coordinator. So there's a lot more turmoil going on across the football field than I would say on our side. So more dysfunctionality, I guess you could say. So I think he's going to throw it all out there. I just don't know what they're going to be able to do that we haven't seen already, even with the new offensive coordinator coming in.
And then my last question for you is what do you have to see out of this Gator defense to say, look, we're correcting this thing, we're getting it back on track? The defense looked really good the first 3-4 weeks, and then it's just kind of fallen off.
Yeah, in the words of David, hit somebody. I think that's going to be the biggest thing is, make your presence felt first and foremost. That Tennessee game was a perfectly executed defensive game. So you know how to do it. You've done it before. You've done it for 4 quarters as well. So I've seen it. You've also done it when it's in big time moments like the South Carolina game where you showed up when we needed you most. So I know it's possible. Got a lot of injuries though. I believe Cam Jackson's questionable. Tyreek Sapp's questionable. Shamar James is out. So those concern me. Those guys have been, the leaders. But some would even say, look, they haven't been the loudest leaders. So maybe it's going to be time for a young guy to step up and hit somebody. Derek Wingo, not the most mobile linebacker we've got, but I like his attitude, I like his personality on the football field. We haven't seen much of Scoob, right? Remember we had the trend going, Scoob, where he was making some big time plays, getting from left to right on the football field, filling in gaps, hitting somebody. Haven't said much of his name lately. Like to see him pop off and have some big games. We got to get Pyburn in there because he carries a ton of energy. He's getting beat on the line simply just by size, but maybe he can go in there and disrupt things up a little bit. Princely, he's got to get some sacks. We got to get some pressure going. Want to see him do well. And we've been beating the drum. I need a big pick from a cornerback. I need some elite cornerback play today to really get into KJ Jefferson's head and to really get this defense in a belief. Jordan Castell, he's gone quiet over the last few weeks as well too. So there's a lot of guys that I feel like, look, you know how to play the game. You've played it well. We've seen you do it well. Can we get everyone doing it together? If there's a day to get everyone together and in sync, it's got to be today, especially with all the injuries and everybody being out. I think offensively, it's done. We've done pretty well. Obviously, I would like to see us run the ball a little more effectively today too. That would be a big point of emphasis. But Graham Mertz has been exceptional. I'm excited that we have him on the team and look forward to having him back next year as well.
Yeah, most definitely. And then what's your final score prediction for this game?
I like 24-10. I think maybe 13. I just don't see Arkansas popping off too many. It's gonna be a noon game, all blackout. There's if again, we talked about it last week with a couple old goats there from the Gators and Joe Hayden. So if you have to get fired up to wake up for Florida Georgia, you got something wrong with you. And I think this kind of goes for the same game here. You're wearing all black unis. I know it's at noon, but it's in front of a home crowd at the Swamp. You should never have to get rowdy for a Swamp game, especially when you're wearing fresh uniforms like you are today. So the boys should be ready to rock and roll and again knocking some heads off. So hopefully I did a good job for everybody at home. Taking a back seat. You did a great job, Cody. I appreciate you. We'll get you back on here in a minute where you razzle dazzle us for the high top table talk. Big guy.
Yeah, for sure. Can't wait.
Kelby Collins needs a breakout today too. And Harlan says, boy, look at that line. I was going to say something about your mom, Harlan, but I'm going to keep it professional today. Hey, boys and girls, be sure to smash the like button. Happy to have all of you here this wonderful, beautiful Saturday morning. We got a few of these left, so make sure we enjoy it. We appreciate it. We've got 4 left. Well, 3 after this one. But let's get right into it. Let's get into high top table talk. And let's see who we don't have Allie, the defending champion here. So we're going to have a new champion after today, boys and girls. Let's get it. Look at this. I've moved over. I'm in the I'm in the field with you boys now.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Thunderdome. You know what I mean? This feels good to be here. I feel like I should be having like my paperwork or something, like a little pad of paper ready to rock and roll. This is weird. I probably should shut up, pass the thing over to Cody though. What's going on, Cody? What's happened with just? Can you zoom in on your screen, Cody, a little bit so we can see it?
Yeah, I'm trying, bud.
Cody's gonna
screen for ants.
Yeah, hey Cody, just before we start the show though, again, I haven't looked at the questions because I know the comments you're like, well, show created the questions. I can promise you, I did not look at the questions. I didn't. I called Cody this morning. I go, hey, you got to write the questions. I can't be involved with it. Look, I'm a man of honor. I'm not going to cheat. I do want to say this, Cody. Just remember when you're giving out the points, who supplies for your 401k. But that's all that I'm going to say about that.
Wow, that's where we're at, huh?
That's where we're at. There we go, Cody. There we go.
We're rocking and rolling now.
All right, you got the timer too over there, Cody. You got a lot of work to do. You got to run the timer, run the clicker. Everyone thinks it's easy being the host. It's a lot of pressure.
It's tough. All right. Well, how much time do you guys get? It's a minute, right?
Yeah, 60 seconds. Jason only gets 30 though. Hey, scroll down a little bit on the scoreboard. There you go. All right, Cody. Who's going first?
All right, let's go with Ty right off the bat here.
Good answer.
All right, so these are some spicy questions that I thought up, and like I said, Shelton doesn't know what they are. First off, should Michigan get hit with the SMU death penalty for stealing signs and if caught to be true, and should they forfeit all of their wins for the year?
Ooh, that's a good one. So listen, I'm going to start this off with saying, no, I don't think that they should get an SMU death penalty just because I disagree with the premise of SMU getting that death penalty. It was ridiculous. But here's what I will say. If all of this is proven, and right now you're seeing a ton of the Big Ten coaches, if I'm not mistaken, the Purdue Big Ten coach, he just came out yesterday and was like, hey, this is proven. You can trace where they were going. My point is if they prove somehow, some way that Harbaugh had direct knowledge of this and some of the uppers had direct knowledge of this, that's where there has to be some punishment levied. And in that case, I think you are well within your position to start taking away wins, to start relegating the entire season. Because here's the thing, guys. We saw that 2020 season where they apparently didn't have the sign stealing. They crashed. We saw and heard the rumors that TCU switched the signs. They crashed. So there has got to be some form of punishment. The hard thing comes where Connor Stallions wrote a damn manifesto. He's not snitching. And that's where this is going to be very difficult because he can always say, I did this of my own volition. Nobody else knew. And that's where this gets really tough. He's going to have to come clean. I don't think he will.
Wow. Jason?
Not the death penalty, but you have to come down hard on them about something, and the thing is this was absolutely orchestrated and carried out. Now, albeit not very well, for a Marine, to no intelligence there as far as that goes. It was really weird for me to see that they just left such a paper trail for everybody to find out. Now, the question that I have is, what about all this stuff that they're saying about possibly Ohio State having broke into somebody else's computer to get all this evidence? If that's the case, what do you do to them? Myself, I think that overall you have to do something about this, though, because you've got Jim Harbaugh thumbing his nose at the whole, not just the NCAA, but at the Big Ten. He had Stallions on the sidelines at Central Michigan games against their opponents in the Big Ten. We've seen that at least twice already. And you also have an assistant coach that was going after a 13-year-old girl. This is starting to look like there's a lot of weird stuff going on. And the whole hamburger thing, I don't know what the deal was with that. I don't think it's worth the death penalty, but I think that you do have to slap them and slap them quickly. Was I close to the minute there? Not really. He's keeping up with the time well.
Where was he at, Cody?
You're muted, bro.
Yeah. See, guys, you think it's easy.
He had 5 seconds left.
Okay. All right.
All right,
Good to go?
Shelly.
Look, I think the death penalty is like the electric chair in real life, right? Nobody really uses it anymore. So nobody's ever going to get it ever again. It's always going to linger out there, but it's non-existent. Nobody will get it because they saw what it did to SMU, and nobody ever wants to do that to any type of organization. No matter how bad they, what they do. Now, as for Connor Stallions being the guy and basically taking the fall and being fired, but being, hush hush. I mean, I keep that guy on staff anywhere at any time. The guy is low as all get out. But here's the thing: just because he doesn't say anything doesn't mean that Michigan's not guilty. He was part of your staff, right? You had a rat that was on your team, and you benefited from that. I think they can point to that clearly, because if you're going around and you're able to come back with signs, and if you just hired a guy off the whim and he goes out there and gets some signs and comes back and provides information with you, Michigan utilizes that information. You may not have to go directly to Harbaugh and fire Harbaugh, but the Big Blue as a whole should be in trouble for using that because of what he was doing. His job was to scout out, signs and be able to provide information back to Harbaugh and back to the team. They used that, right? The team used that. So I think forfeiting some wins. Now, how can you determine which games they were used on? That's where it's going to start to get messy because you're not going to be able to tell. That's it?
Yep.
5 points? Are you kidding me, bro? This shit's rigged, bro. I was out here. There's no way that was 60 seconds.
It was 60 seconds.
Don't wait. Hold the phone. 5 points? You gave Jason 9?
This is how it's going to be?
Your 401k is going to be the 5 points?
Wow.
I was like, spitting facts.
All right, so Ty, you're next up.
Let's do it.
We'll mute Shelton so he can cry.
Ty already went first. Jason's first.
Oh, okay. Now. Jason.
Yeah.
You didn't even have to run the show. This is unbelievable.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, Jason. If USC loses the last 3 to Washington, Oregon, and UCLA, which are all ranked, does Lincoln Riley fold his tent and run to the NFL?
I'm not sure that it's gonna take that, but when they lose the next 3 games, I don't think that he stays either way. The writing's been on the wall for quite a while now. You start looking at the Big Ten schedule for next year and knowing that he's going to be breaking in a new quarterback. I know he was a 5-star, but they don't really exactly have a easy schedule starting off their first year in the Big Ten. And he's proven that he's going to be loyal to Grinch for whatever reason, whether or not, he has something on him or if it's something along the lines of like what I keep saying is he catches all Lincoln's bullets. I think it's going to be a tough deal. And I think that overall, he doesn't want to unhitch his wagon from Caleb Williams. Can't necessarily blame him. I think they've already kind of made way for him with the Raiders by firing Josh McDaniel. It's a possibility that it could happen. As you saw right after their loss to Notre Dame, he got, Utah, he got sick. Very similar to 2021 is all I'm saying for that loss.
All right, Ty or Shelton?
Me.
Yeah, Shelton.
Me. I should get 2 points now for bringing it back. I don't think he's going anywhere. He's getting $110 million to coach at USC. There's no way he's gonna be able to finagle his way out of it like he did Oklahoma, and there's no reason why he should want to finagle his way out of it. I am concerned about Oklahoma's future, though. I feel like after Caleb Williams, where do they go? It is the Caleb Williams show currently. Thankfully, he's going to play. He had some advice to sit out for this year, which I think would have been detrimental to USC and Lincoln Riley's just career as a whole, but there's still a weird chance that they can make some upsets, can do some things against Washington, UCLA, and Oregon. I don't believe that they will. I think they will fall hard and crash hard and just go back to being the USC they had been for the past decade. I thought USC was going to be back with Lincoln Riley. I have been proven wrong. I still have my $50 that are riding high, so I would like to see them pull it off here. Obviously, there's no playoff hopes. There's no Pac-12 hopes, but no, I don't think Lincoln Riley is going anywhere just due to the fact of all the money. And USC doesn't have the ability to go elsewhere.
All right, Ty.
So y'all have heard me give my soliloquies on Alex Grinch. Today, the Grinch didn't steal Christmas. I'm about to tear down Lincoln Riley. Absolutely, I think that he could get to the NFL. Here's why. I've questioned the validity of Alex Grinch defenses, gentlemen and ladies, it's time to question the validity of how Lincoln Riley builds teams. This is a man that will take recruiting classes that include 16 individuals in the class and then rely on the transfer portal. Sounds all well and good because those 16 guys are fine. The problem is going into the Big Ten, you're going up against Michigan, you're going up against Oregon, who's inevitably going to be one of the better teams, Washington, who's giving you problems, and now Ohio State. All of those teams not only are going to be able to recruit, but in the case of Ohio State and Michigan, they're going to be able to take top 10 recruiting classes plus top 10 classes in transfer portal acquisitions, and they're not going to be doing it at the expense of taking 16 guys. They're going to take 25 guys in the class, 5 to 10 guys in the transfer portal, and it's going to be really hard to do that. Jason pointed out the lack of a quarterback. It's going to be a problem.
I feel like these guys are getting more time.
They're not getting any more time.
Dude.
A minute's a minute.
Bro.
All right.
Jason got like a minute and a half on that one.
Okay.
Shit's
Final,
rigged.
Yeah, it's rigged. Final question.
Rigged, all right.
Who is this a bigger game for? Georgia to cement themselves into the SEC title game and line up for another natty run, or Mizzou to knock off Georgia and, Drinkowitz finally bring that Mizzou program to prominence?
Look, it's got to be Georgia, right? I think Mizzou seems like it's the fun answer, but Mizzou wins this game. It'll be exciting for a little bit, but the more likely they'll end up losing the SEC championship or they'll blunder it elsewhere, and this game will go by the wayside. This game's going to be huge for Georgia. It's a continuing their drive for a three-peat, also for another SEC championship. And it's a big win because Mizzou's starting to make a run. And right now, Georgia is starting to play this boo-hoo card where, again, we're feeding right into it. It's like there's a possibility Georgia could lose this weekend. For the fact that continues to be the narrative is absolutely insane. And again, I know Mizzou seems like it would be the right answer, but I feel like they would throw this one away if they were to pull this off. Having the possibility to go to another playoff, to three-peat, which right now looks very, very likable, right? I mean, I don't really see a team outside of Oregon that can beat them, and Oregon right now is on the outside looking in. So if you continue to go down the path that you are, Michigan seems like they're in trouble. Ohio State doesn't really look that dominant. FSU, obviously, they look great, but I think Georgia looks better than FSU. It's going to be a bigger win for Georgia this week.
That's it. All right, Ty.
Yeah, all right. So I think that Georgia is the answer here, and here's the reason why. Kirby is, like Nick Saban, a psychologist. Georgia came out at number 2 in the initial college football playoff polls. They're going to come out hungry. Everybody asked whether or not they would miss a beat without Brock Bowers. The answer right now appears to be no. Oscar Delp is there, and he's going to be very good. The reason why it's Georgia is this game is foundational. You look ahead of this game, and then they still have Ole Miss. So they still have some pretty big games. And the reason why this game is instrumental, what is the one thing I've talked about consistently on this show? If you want to test a Georgia defense, it's the reason why I didn't think Florida would be able to do it. You have to test them vertically. Dinking and dunking is going to get you killed 10 out of 10 times. Missouri can test them vertically. Right. So that is a great preparation game to some of the teams that Georgia could see in the college football playoff if they get past Ole Miss, if they get past whoever they play in the SEC championship game. Missouri has a foundation in order to take down Georgia. I don't think they do it. I think Georgia is better, but this is a phenomenal game.
All right, Jason.
I think it's pretty easily that Georgia's going to win the game, but I think it's a bigger game for Mizzou. I mean, if you don't win this game, do you hold on to this class that you're supposedly so big on? And if you're Eli Drinkowitz, you've got to get a win over somebody that matters at some point. And this has just not been happening. So to me, you expect Georgia to go in there and blow them out. I do. I don't see this as any different than when we were talking about Kentucky a few weeks ago. In the end, if Drink really wants to keep his job around there, really wants to hold on to Williams Nwaneri and some of these other big-time recruits that they got coming in or they're trying to get to come in, whether it be quarterbacks and receivers and that kind of stuff, you better finally compete, show up, win this game at home because it's a home game. I think it's easily a bigger game for them.
That's it.
Oh, I feel like I got robbed in that first round. But look, that was fun. That was fun to – what's that?
I hate this show. I hate this fucking show.
Oh, look, that was a good time. That was fun. It felt good to be in the fire there. To go up against Ty and Jason. I mean, usually I'm on the outside looking, and that was a good time. You guys were a blast. I appreciate you allowing me to get in between the lines here. Again, I feel like we'll have to have a recount on that round one. I'll get with the NCAA on that, but definitely have to have an appeal.
I hope you get with the NCAA. No,
Yeah,
go
the
with them.
NCAA,
Go
they got
with them.
they got teeth and all.
They've been so useful historically. Please, no.
I need an appeal on the round one. 5 points.
They're right in Indianapolis. I can drop your letter off if you mail it to me.
Like five. Like I would get if I didn't use my time, but I went over the clock. 5 points. I don't know. I just gotta know. I gotta figure it out, guys. Pleasure as always. Shout out to Cody for stepping up and doing that, man. It's not easy. It's very critical to be the scorekeeper. So phenomenal job. Congrats to Ty. Ty, give us your closing thoughts before we tell everyone where they can find you guys.
Listen, I think that this is an unbelievable weekend of college football. There's a lot of games you need to be circling top to bottom. Excellent weekend. And as always, thank you to High Top. If you aren't aware of where to find me, you can find me at Around the Table Sports. But if you don't know already and you're interested, I do a college football national show on Bleacher Report with 3 other guys, and it's a college football pick'em show. Once again, I'm in the lead, and I'm going to flex my muscles a bit. Coming out of last week, out of the 84 games we've picked, I'm sitting at 67-17. So I'm feeling real confident, and I don't plan on looking back. I plan on finishing strong.
Jason?
Yeah, you can find me at Hall of Fame College Football with Jason and the Coach. That's at CFB-pod on YouTube, at hofmedia.us on the internet, and then you can find me on Twitter at JW_HOF. Shout out to Buc-ee's.
Love it. They're big in Texas, aren't they? Buc-ee's. That's where they're from. I can see why.
Oh, my brother in Christ! Have you ever been?
Yeah, we have one. I have one right on the road.
Okay. I was about to say, next time you're here, you let me know.
Big Texas brand. So I understand why he's representing it. Anyways, guys, appreciate you two gentlemen always coming on here. It's always a blast and a pleasure. You guys know where to find us here at High Top Sports. You guys, again, have a great Saturday. Enjoy all the games that are circled on your calendar. Florida Gators kickoff at noon. We've got 3:30 kickoff for Alabama and LSU, and then Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. That game is also on later on today. So should be a great matchup for all those teams. Should be fun to watch. Love you guys for always hanging out with us. Be sure to smash like button.
45 on the kickoff for Bama, by the way.
What is it?
It's 6:45. The kickoff for Bama.
Anyways, guys, you guys have a great rest of your Saturday. Be good. Love you. Subscribe.